Hello and welcome to the Hashtag Tarot Songs podcast. My name is Danielle Guthrie and I'm the owner of Entropy Healing. You can find out more about Entropy Healing at entropyhealing.com. And this is a YouTube channel for learning the tarot through readings, through music, through interviews, and through guided meditations. So today we're going to talk about our reading for the lunar eclipse, which is today, Sunday, September 7th. And our eclipse is in Pisces and in Virgo. So I'm just going to get right into it. Our spread today that I pulled cards for is, what is our anchor card? And our anchor card today for this lunation is the Hanged Man. And if you want to pull your own cards and see how they line up with what I say, that's always a good process for learning the tarot in your own way. And for what is Pisces teaching us in this eclipse, we have the Eight of Pentacles. This is the Light Seers Tarot deck by Chris Ann, but the Eight of Pentacles is in reverse. And then we have what is Virgo teaching us. Our sun is in Virgo, right? And our moon is in Pisces. And Virgo is here to explore the world. And what is happening beneath the surface? There's eclipses are always kind of a wild card. There's things that are beneath that we're not always sure where they're coming from, where they're headed. There's always a little bit of a mystery of what is coming through. And so what is beneath us is the Two of Cups. And then we have our guiding light. And we're going to talk about why a guiding light is so important in this fog of the lunar eclipse. And we have the Three of Wands, but it is in reverse. So this is our guiding light, where we're headed, how we're going to make our way through. Okay, and then our last card we're going to talk about is, what are our next steps? How do we navigate through these experiences? And we had the Two of Wands, but it's also in reverse. So there's a few reverses in here. And that's not a bad thing, because eclipses kind of take us from one place where we're at and completely leave us on a new place. Imagine you're like on a boat and you start on one beach and there's a storm, and then you end up in a totally new place. So that's kind of, it's not a surprise that there's a lot of reverses. Initially, also what I am called to notice is that we have three threes, right? We have the Hangman is 1 + 2 is 3. We have the World is 21 in the major arcana, and then we also have the Three of Wands. And when you put those three together, the last number 3 there would be the Empress. So I think there's a lot of significance in our triangle here with the number 3. So we also have 2 2s. So in this transition period, right, 3s are a transition number. We're not quite where we once were. We're on our way, but we're kind of making our way, we're building. And so what we're building towards with these 2s is a new beginning, a new relationships, new ways of working with duality. There's a new beginning of a journey here, and it often starts with the journey with ourselves, a new beginning within ourselves. So with the Hanged Man, you can see this woman is hanging upside down. And what I think about with this, what came through for the energy that's happening is, you can imagine when you're hanging upside down, remember when you were a kid hanging from a tree, it's kind of fun for a while, but then there's like this pressure in your head building, right? It kind of gets uncomfortable. Maybe you get a headache, maybe you start to lose feeling in your legs, and you just kind of want to get down, because all the pressure, all the gravity is pulling you, but there's nowhere really for it to go. It gets kind of stuck in your head. And that is definitely a feeling of this eclipse. I know I have felt it. If you have been noticing maybe headaches or just hard to keep your train of thought, things are just kind of a little bit foggy and unclear. Maybe you feel, kind of very porous, like things are kind of moving through and around you. There's this liminal feeling. Things are not necessarily feeling like one thing's going after the other. It's just kind of a little bit up in the air, so to speak. So it's interesting because with the Hanged Man, we have beneath us, we have Pisces, which is water. I imagine, hanging from this tree, and beneath you is this beautiful flowing river. And then we also have Virgo, which is earth. So you have water and earth below you, but it feels very much in your head with this Hanged Man. There's a lot coming through. And so if you're feeling contraction or constriction in your throat, in your ears, in your third eye, in your head, that is totally normal. There's also a lot of stuff happening in the sky. And I'm not going to go through every single thing, but the parts that do pertain to this reading, I will definitely address in the cards. And so what initially came through with this Hanged Man is what is happening right now. So eclipses will kind of, like I said, it's a wild card. You never know where you start and where you end can be two different places. And so what's happening, a couple messages I got was that we are going through in this hangman feeling, it's very hermit-like. It's very foggy. It's like we're kind of walking through the fog, and we have our lantern, right? And the hermit, is the year that we are in, 2025. 2 + 0 + 2 + 5 is number 9 in the major arcana. And in this hermit year, this feeling that we're kind of feeling upside down, I think is a lot of the pressure of some of this hermit. In the hermit, we're processing, we're reflecting, we're integrating, we're bringing things maybe that we don't like about ourselves, maybe shadow work, things that are being forgiven, things that have been kind of hanging on that we can't move forward with anymore are becoming part of our whole person. And then when you do the work in the hermit, you can leave the cave and go down and be in society and in community and contribute fully in your full self and stay grounded and bring all the gifts and wisdom that you've learned in your hermit times. And so in this hanged man time, as we're making our way with this compass or with this light, I see that we are actually traversing over familiar territory is what's kind of coming up, is that we're finding ourselves that there are old stories, old patterns, old scenarios, if it's a social situation or if it's a certain relationship or something in your work where you find you're having to stand up for yourself for something over and over again. So there are things that are coming up over and over again, but there is this message that as we kind of let the hanged man flow through, as things are coming through, that there are a lot of things that maybe in the past came in one ear and out the other, and we would kind of mentally say, yeah, I know that, but we didn't actually put like our money where our mouth is and actually respond in a different way or choose to behave or act on something. It would just kind of like I think about the perpetual student who's like forever in college and never actually has the job or whatever. You're just kind of perpetually in this cerebral part. And so what's happening with this hangman is there's going to be some things that are similar, that are familiar, that come through, but there's going to be aha moments. Be prepared for something to stick. Be like, oh, I've been hearing that's been coming up for so much lately, but it actually is hitting me in this new way. And sorry, there's a bee. I see how this is showing up in my life and how I've been saying this, but actually it's actually coming out in my life. I'm seeing it and feeling it in a brand new way, if that makes sense. And so yeah, it can be like, oh, there's a bunch more bees. A reading, a book for the 10th time, and you say, oh my gosh, I didn't even see that the first 9 times. How did I miss that? So that's kind of what's happening in this hanged man feeling. And yeah, so as we move on, try not to be distracted by these bees that are right by me. As we move on, so our 8 of Pentacles is our message from Pisces. And last thing I know I wanted to mention with the hanged man is that sometimes, we talk about our healing journeys and, reflecting and trying to move on and, move towards our dreams and changing our life. And we, in our Western world, there's been so much focus on, therapy and talk therapy. And now, energetics and different holistic medicine is starting to be remembered again and actually have more respect, right, in the Western world. But one thing, with this, with the constant kind of talk therapy, it can be helpful to say your stories out loud because words have power, and you release things in your DNA maybe that have been stuck there because you're holding on to them and you need to speak them to release them. And there is healing in that, and to acknowledge maybe where you've been hurt or where you've wronged people. But what happens with this hanged man is that there's been a lot of that going on, and maybe the stories of our life of why we are the way we are, or this happened to me and this trauma, and it's like these kind of stories. And there's neuroplasticity is the word for the brain, where we kind of can be we can train our brain to be more to create more connections and to grow new pathways as we have new experiences, and we kind of train it with different thoughts and responses. And so when we keep repeating our stories over and over, we're just ingraining deeper and deeper. I think about like the Grand Canyon, how those canyons, the water goes through and it just carves it deeper and deeper. And so for a lot of us in this Hanged Man, what's coming out are those places that have been carved so deep by our stories about the way that we are, whether they're true or not, or our feelings about things, things that get us worked up, that there is an expansion here of noticing those places where maybe we've been stuck in a story, and it's time. The Hanged Man is saying it's not time yet. You're just recognizing this, and what you are preparing for in these number threes is that when you get to the twos here after the portal of the lunar eclipse, of the eclipses, that you will be recognizing that it is time to take action on those stories, and you either, as my mom would say, shit or get off the pot. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to change your actions? How are you going to move forward, right? And so with that, with our Pisces card, we have that Eight of Pentacles in reverse. A significant thing that's happening in the sky right now is Saturn went into retrograde back into Pisces. And Saturn, it is our kind of our disciplinarian. I think about also the south node is also in Pisces. And if you're familiar with astrology, and so with these two in Pisces, it's kind of like our past, hard lessons, maybe things that circumstances we were born into, the shit hands we were dealt. That there's some of this, the Saturn is like you kind of trudge your way through the mud, and you learn the hard lessons the hard way, and you will never go back again and make those mistakes because you've been there, done that, and you really integrated in this hermit year. And with this so that Saturn is, but it's in Pisces, and Pisces is watery. It's our fantasies, it's our dreams, it's how we take our imagination and we flow and move with it. It's very emotional. It's tapping into our empathy. And so with this Eight of Pentacles, the message with Saturn in being in here is that, are you taking your dreams, and your ways of being where you say you want to be, but are you actually doing the things that align you into the action of being in that place, right? Are you taking action on your dreams and your fantasies and your ideas? With this being in reverse, it's saying that there might be places where maybe where are you kind of self-sabotaging yourself, or maybe you're giving up before you actually follow through. You're losing patience. Saturn really teaches us patience, and the Eight of Pentacles is very much patience. It's being a student again is the key of this. It's like the reminders of where we are willing to learn and recognize that we might be slightly naive, but we're just like this open sponge. But there's work. You can be that way, but it takes the effort and the determination and the daily routines and repetition to gain new skills. And so with this being in reverse, it's also saying, if you have these dreams, are you willing, are you willing to kind of shift things around and actually be brave enough to implement some of these changes into your life? And where are you emotionally, in Pisces, where are you emotionally allowing your feelings about things to maybe get in the way? Or your feelings of, maybe being, being a victim where I can't because of these circumstances, or those dreams could never come true. So there's this connection here between that Saturn with our Eight of Pentacles, being able to allow ourselves to be a teacher, to be a student, and to be brave enough to try new gifts and skills. And so as we move into that, into the Virgo is the world. This is the very end of the major arcana. When you finish this card, you go back to zero, back to the Fool, where you're taking the leap again and trying something new. So in this lunation, you know, the world is no joke. I mean, this is, when you see this, this is a completion of cycles to the ultimate. And the difference between this and some of the other endings, because, you know, Hermit is a 9, which is kind of cycles ending. The difference is, yeah, the world to me also implies with some of this stuff with our South Node and Saturn is that some of our like familiar patterns, familial, that are maybe from ancestors, from, you know, our beliefs about what it means to be hardworking, to be productive, you know, because this is Virgo, our process of doing things, that things need to be difficult, or we need to be like, have our calendar going all the time, you know, and ideas about what health is. You know, Virgo is health, that there's a lot of things that are coming to an end that we have bought into, that are, that we're recognizing that we kind of allowed ourselves to do that, and because we always have a choice. And so the world is helping us recognize that we kind of have a role in abiding by some of those things, but we didn't recognize that we were. And so with the world, we will, how our process of going, all those things I just talked about for Virgo, is coming to an end, and we're realizing that we're going to take a leap to do things differently than we have before. And moving on, what is supporting us in all of this? We have our Two of Cups, and I think of this as that river that's beneath the tree. You know, we're hanging upside down, and this is the river that's kind of flowing, and it's saying, you know, when you untie your legs and you come down, you know, just come and be in this river, this Two of Cups. Cups is, it's water, right? It is very Piscean. It is, you know, our flow with our relationships with others, deeply with ourselves in the Two of Cups. You know, there are these two hands. It's recognizing also where we're supported in ways that we might not realize. You know, there's a lot of separation in this chaos, the entropy that's happening right now around the world of, you know, things crumbling. What is our future going to be? You know, war. I mean, all you have to do is turn on the TV, and it's just, it feels very defeating, you know, destructive. And the ultimate root of it is separation. When you are separated within, what we are seeing around us in the world is an expression of our separation within ourselves. There's a separation externally of people believing, I'm right, you're wrong, you know, vaccines, this, war, you know, I mean, whatever it may be, everything is this dichotomy of us and them. And so this Two of Cups, what is this undercurrent, is helping us to recognize that the places of where we have become separated from ourselves, that we can kind of know that what's coming through is, it's just helping us to become aware, you know, not to hold on to it emotionally like that's who we are. It's an experience that we are having. I recently watched Michael Beckwith, Take Back Your Mind. He has a whole episode about prosperity and abundance, and I highly recommend that, about the difference of saying I am versus I am experiencing or I am feeling this at this time. You know, to say you are something is creating this frequency of what you're attracting. And so Two of Cups is reminding us that frequency, the waves that we're holding within ourselves, to come back to that I am loved, I am, you know, supported, I have all my needs met, you know, those deeper spiritual things, rather than saying, you know, I am tired, which is, I'm saying this because that's what, you know, I find myself saying that. And so that's something that I'm flipping and saying, I'm not tired. I am experiencing, that I have a lot on my plate, you know, and there can be overwhelm. And so I say I'm tired, but, you know, so that's just an example of what's running beneath us. What's running above us? What's our guiding light? We have that Three of Wands, and this is preparing us for the big wave, you know, the big wave of, as things are transitioning, you know, preparing ourselves energetically. How are you caring for yourselves, you know, with this Piscean and Virgo thing is, with these themes and with Hanged Man, you know, when you're uncomfortable, when things are unknown, when you don't feel like you have control, you know, Piscean water also, and you know, you just keep kind of coming through this fog and nothing's quite clear. Three of Wands says, just, can you be prepared for when you are out of this place and you are ready to move forward? How are you going to do that? you know. So there's this plan, and it's connecting us with fire, our solar plexus. Can you trust that what you're doing today, even though you're not seeing the results of it yet, can you trust that down the road that is going to be what you need when you need it? And nobody's going to tell you how to do that or what that is. You know, this is the world that's like, with Virgo, don't look externally for those answers, that you know within, in your solar plexus. It's our identity. Regardless of what you think you should do or what people have kind of told you or your programming, you trust that what you're doing now is setting you up for your dreams and the way that you, the changes that you want to make. And lastly, our next steps, this is very much related to that Three of Wands as well. We have the Two of Wands, and this is going on a journey. You know, you can see she's got her globe there, her wand, she's looking out the window. There's a little bit of, you know, a connecting with Piscean energy here too, I see, because it's like she's kind of dreamy out the window. It's like, ooh, what kind of lights me up, you know? With Wands is our solar plexus. As you're looking out that window and you're imagining, you know, there's a connection to our imagination a lot with this energy. Just allow yourself to, you know, not get the to-do list done for a minute. Maybe do the little teeny things, you know, but not the big, huge projects, and allow yourself in the midst of it all to look out the window, you know, and when you get really excited about something, ooh, that is, that's a yes, that's a sign that, okay, I'm gonna take note of that. That's important, you know. And thinking about, you know, Two of Wands, maybe it might be helpful with this Virgo to think about short term, you know, maybe in the next year, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, you know, kind of like looking forward and saying, are you prepared and you ready to take action on this new adventure? You know, you're kind of shifting where you see yourself in your adventure. So I hope that this is helpful. I tried to keep it not too long, but if you have any questions or comments in the about this, go ahead and please do that in the comments. And if you want to know more, go to entropyhealing.com. Happy eclipse.